The next question we want to tackle actually goes back a ways to when we did the Chastity Game Show. There
Okay.
was a couple comments on it that Crystalina and I had talked about, her specifically addressing. There was a woman who said she was in her 30s and she was we were talking about the men not asking women out and women not being asked out. And if you guys recall in the video, we said that, like, you know, if ladies, if you haven't been asked out in a year, there's things you could be doing better. Men, you need to be asking women out. And part of the reason men aren't asking women out is because the culture makes them nervous about it, maybe. And she was objecting to both of those things. She was objecting to the idea that there's something wrong with women who, if they're not being asked out for a year, which, you know, I don't know if that's a fair assessment, but I'll let you guys address that. And also that rejecting that men should be able to just cold approach women. So Crystalina and I talked about briefly her wanting to maybe having some good stuff to say on that.
I completely understand, like, men just like approaching you, and it's always this like stranger danger kind of situation, and you have to be really careful. But at the same time, I know it seems like, oh, it's always the same thing, but if you're really truly living out the will of God and doing what he's asking you to do, and you're in your 30s or some women in their 40s, and to really just go deeper into your relationship with Jesus. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know you're like, well, I want a spouse. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want this. I want. Yes, I understand. And the thing is, a lot of things may not transpire because God needs something from you, is wanting from you, or you need some sort of healing that needs to take place. And I think we so go to that discouragement, and we go to that kind of just, it's all bad. The world's bad. Just dating culture is bad. But at the end of the day, are you living out what God has called you to do, to be the mission he has given you? And that is never going to be fulfilled with a man. Never, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I can hear and empathize with the question, because let's say there's a woman out there who is doing everything she can possibly do. She's working out, you know, she's dealt with any mental health issues. She's making herself available. She's serving God. She's going to adoration. Like, she's doing her stuff. Like, there's literally nothing more. I mean, she's on the Catholic dating apps, and she's at the young adult Bible studies, and she's going to young single professionals. Like, she's doing it all, and it's just not happening. You know, so I think we need to be careful to say, well, if you haven't been asked out in a year, you're doing something wrong. So I hear what she's saying, and I think that that's a fair rebuttal to say, look, sometimes we are doing everything and it's not coming. And if a woman's in that situation, I can really understand her resenting any advice, discouraging guys from just doing a cold ask, because she'd be like, you know, I'd frankly like one of those. You know, I don't need to be friends with a guy for 9 months before he asked me on a first date.
She was saying the opposite. That's why
she was saying they shouldn't just do a cold ask.
Yeah. So that's why we were confused by it. She was saying that, like,
confusing.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher, because it's just like
doing that. It's wrong to say that women who aren't being asked out for a year could improve some things, but also men shouldn't cold approach women.
Yeah.
And so that's why we were like a little confused by the whole, because it seems like you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You know?
Yeah. And maybe the cold ask thing is just had a bad experience in the past, and it's just like creepy, you know, like socially awkward. Like, I'd like to at least get to know you a little better. Hey, I'd love to be asked out, but, you know, can I know that you have no criminal background first, and then I feel a little bit more comfortable. So maybe it's coming from, maybe she was burned in the past. But yeah, I agree. It does sound like I want my cake and eat it too kind of thing. That, you know, if you're open, you're available, and maybe there's some guy at the young adult community who you don't know real well that is interested, and he's getting off the vibe, hey, don't ask me out because I need you to know me for 6 months beforehand. Hey, you could have missed out on a date right there. And so try to be actively receptive, you know, obviously with prudence and discernment. And maybe if you feel kind of unsafe, be like, yeah, I'd love to. Can we do a group thing, or go out with my girlfriend? Do you have a friend? Like, we all that way, or at least go into a public place as opposed to, you know, let's meet at this place for dinner. So you've got your vehicle, you know, you got an easy escape if you need to, instead of him picking you up in the car and driving off somewhere. So I think there's ways to mitigate feelings of not feeling totally safe by just, hey, and maybe you could just have your girlfriend say, hey, we're going to date at this place. Could you and my other girlfriend go sit at another table, and he's never going to know you're there. Just kind of keep an eye out. So if I need to like wave a white flag, like, get me out of here, you'll have some backup there. So I think there's ways to work around it, but don't shut that door, because I think there's a lot of good Catholic guys out there that are frustrated. It's like, dude, I'll ask a girl out of the young adult community and she's like, no, because you're not rich enough, or no, because you're not attractive enough, or no. And they're just at their wits' end. So I think sometimes guys feel like they're just constantly blamed for why they're not doing enough. So I'd say try to be actively receptive and find ways to creatively mitigate fears of risk that you might have, that your safety could be a danger with a guy, because there are some good dudes out there, but obviously you want to be prudent. So
guard your heart from bitterness, right? And just
yeah,
being angry and like frustrated at maybe your state in life right now, but it won't always be this way. It won't. God has a plan for everybody.
And just try to fight for your peace. I think I shared a quote last week from Padre Pio where he said, retain your peace because the enemy always likes to fish in troubled waters. Meaning when our heart is troubled, it's not at peace. That's where the devil likes to throw his lure in there. Of what false consolation can I draw you into because your heart is not at peace? And it might not be at peace because of the spirit of discouragement, of anger, resentment, lust, whatever, but just retaining a peaceful heart helps us to stay free from a lot of the temptations that he's going to throw our way. So.